Will you hit, if anybody asks as a co-host, you have to agree to the recording. Okay, so then now we're going to go live on Facebook. Again. Sharing page. Bead Society. You're there.
Got it.
I want to make sure we're there. Is anybody else on Facebook Live? Can you let the person in, please?
How do I do that?
Let's admit Elfrida in. Who's ever waiting?
Invite? No.
There we go. And so I think we're live, everybody. Are we? Tell me if Welcome, everybody. We are Let's Bead Live Saturday with the Upper Midwest Bead Society. We are so excited to be here. We have Tracy Proctor from Tiara Cast, and we have Tia Pearson from Goody Beads. And we're doing two wonderful little projects today. One is called the Josephine Knot Bracelet, and that's what Tracy's going to teach here from 1 to 2. And then we have Tia teaching the cowgirl earrings. So first, we'd like a couple announcements for our Upper Midwest Bead Society activities. And Becky Pancake is going to give us a little maybe thank you about the state fair and a retreat. Let's bring you up to pin. There you go, Becky.
Hi. Our state fair display, Beads Connect Us, was really successful. Several of the fair people came up to me and said how good it looked. So I thank everyone for sending their pieces because it looked really good. The next event that we have is our fall bead retreat. It's at Camp Wapagossett, which is by Amory, Wisconsin. It's just across the rivers from Taylor's Falls. And Taylor's Falls bead store gives us a discount when it's retreat days. So that's a good thing. We can arrive on Wednesday at 4. Wednesday night we get supper, and then the rest of the days we get 2 meals, but everybody brings snacks, so there's always plenty to eat. You can come for one day, you can come for from Wednesday to Sunday is the whole retreat. And it's really fun. I always come home with so energized because we pass ideas around. And Taylor's Falls, I believe, is doing a couple of small classes that you can sign up for there. Okay, on to the next thing. Our board for next year is missing people. We have no president or vice president, which makes it really hard to operate. And this organization is only as good as we make it. So we're looking for people to join our board and help us make this continue to be successful. I also am looking for signups to demonstrate at the Bead Bazaar, which is the 29th and 30th of October. It's 2 to 2.5 hour shifts, Saturday and Sunday. If you would like to volunteer for that, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Becky. We are so darn excited today to also thank our speaker that we just had. Leslie Fruman was our Monday night speaker for our private meetings. And next month we have Amy Katz will be our speaker. So if you're not a member and you're thinking of joining, we do have, it's on the website where you can go to join. And so today we have Tracy Proctor with us from TierraCast. And we're so darn excited to have her here. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
And so you're the lead designer, right? That creates all the wonderful projects with all those cool findings and components.
Yeah, I am content marketing and pretty much general marketing for TierraCast. And I do do the bulk of the jewelry design when we're getting ready for a product launch or just for inspiration projects. I do the bulk of those designs and then write the instructions and get them all onto the website. And I don't know if you guys, how familiar you are with TierraCast or our website, but there's a whole library of inspiration projects that you can find and get details for and download PDF instruction sheets. So it's a good resource.
And TierraCast is a U.S. company, right? All of the manufacturing and everything is also done here in California, right?
Yeah, we are a U.S. manufacturer. Our little shop is in Santa Rosa, California, which is just about an hour north of San Francisco. So we are considered San Francisco Bay Area, but we're like on the fringes, I guess. We're way north. And we were founded in 1978, and we're a pretty small company. It's fluctuated over the years. Right now, there's about 15 of us, I think. And we do our manufacturing here and designing and all the stuff. It's a great little company to work for. I've been with the company for 16 years, and I love it.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
I love your components because I'm one of those people that can take the finish off of just about anything costume jewelry wise. So I use a lot of your charms and everything because I can actually wear them.
Oh, that's good to hear, Tia. Yeah, we do. You know, our plating is just a little thicker than some of the, other components you can find. Well, and I should say our components are pewter. We're a pewter casting company. So then they're then plated in either fine silver, 22 karat gold, copper, plus we have our pewter finish and our brass finish. So I'm glad that they hold up well for you.
The new white bronze ones are awesome.
Yeah, new white bronze. And we love that one because it doesn't tarnish.
Yes.
Oh, that's really good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we have some of the components here at Bobby Bead, but nowhere near as many as Goody Beads has where Tia is. And so between Bobby Beads and Goody Beads, we've got, the Twin Cities covered and some internet action going on too for all those of you who are not online. BobbyBead.com and GoodyBeads.com has all sorts of components. And so, well, let's just get on to our class today. And you are going to be teaching the Josephine knot bracelet. How did you come up with this wonderful little design?
Well, this was a design. If we're okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera to my work surface view so that everybody can see. this design was part of a group of components that we came out with a couple of years ago we called Wild West. And it had some really wonderful kind of Western themed components, including these crimp ends. And that the design of them is kind of inspired by concho silverwork, traditional concho silverwork. So we call this our concho crimp end. And crimp ends are like a component that's designed to finish off some kind of a bracelet or a necklace, so whatever your material is, that's got some thickness to it. So they're wonderful for leather. They're also great for seed bead designs, which I suspect that you guys as a bead society, you do a lot of seed bead work. So these are great for finishing off those designs. And then they're attached. You can kind of adjust the width of these to whatever your material is. And then in some cases, like with leather, I can just crimp these down with some pliers and they will hold the material. With seed beads, you'd want to, of course, use adhesive. You wouldn't want to crimp that down, right? So that's what this design was developed for, really to show off this crimp end. And then we also used some of our barrel beads and these cute little floral spacers that are large hole enough to work with leather. So that's where that was the inspiration behind this bracelet. And I should also say that I was really inspired by a friend who used to work for Leather Cord USA. And she had given me this bracelet years ago that had this knotting. And so I knew that I would one day want to make a project for our website that used this Josephine knot. So that was also the inspiration behind this bracelet. And if it works for you, Rochelle, I will just jump into the teaching.
Absolutely.
Oops, feedback. And I should say, if anyone has questions, you're probably all muted, but if you have questions about the process, hopefully you guys all saw the link where you could download this project sheet. It has good step out figure images, and hopefully will make the design nice and easy to follow. I do try very hard to make my instructions easy to follow. So hopefully you guys were able to download that if you wanted to do it. And if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask them. And also Rochelle will be monitoring the comments, the chat. So she'll let me know too if there's a question there. So the first thing, all right, let's go over what we need for the project first of all. So we're using 1.5 round cord. It's leather. You could use whatever cord you wanted to use. 1.5 millimeter. You could probably do this with 2, but whatever leather you use, you want to make sure that it's going to fit through the accent beads. So size 6 seed beads, depending on the make, Toho is pretty reliable, will fit on a 1.5 millimeter cord. These little beads have about a 2 millimeter hole. So whatever you choose, you want to make sure that your beads are going to fit on your cord. I have 80 inches of this 1.5 millimeter cord, and I'm going to cut that into 4 equal pieces. I want 4 20-inch pieces. I didn't talk about the rest of the components. 6 by 2 millimeter barrel bead. This has an opening that is 6 millimeters by 2 millimeters, so it fits 4 strands of cord just right. So that's why I chose this barrel bead. We have a few different barrel beads. This is the one that works well for this project, and you need 5 of them. I mentioned those little floral spacers with the 2 millimeter hole. We need 4 of those, I think. I'm using the project sheet too. It's been some time since I've made this design, so I definitely have to follow along with the instructions. I need some seed beads. I have 2 colors, some red and some kind of a turquoise blue. And of course you could You know, when we did the jewelry for this product launch, we really were going with a very Southwest theme. So, you know, that warm, rusty red and a turquoise is perfect for that. But you could choose whatever kind of beads you want, whatever color, whatever palette. So I need 5 each of the 2 different colors of seed beads. I need a couple of small jump rings, and I need a toggle. So the first thing we're going to do, got all this stuff out that I'm going to work with while I'm weaving these knots. I am cutting my cord, as I said, into 4 20-inch pieces. So I started with 80 inches, and so I'm just kind of doubling them over to get my, and cutting to get my 4 lengths. And it doesn't have to be precise. And then I've got these 4 strands. I've got one end in my hand, and I'm just going to tie those in an overhand knot right at the end. And that's just to keep them, keep all the strands together. Now, the other thing, another thing that's very helpful with this project is a clipboard or some little work surface that has a binder clip. So I have just one of these little beading mats that I've tacked onto a piece of poster board, and then I'm using a binder clip. If you have a clipboard handy, that also works nicely. So I'm just going to attach that to my board with the binder clip. And now this Josephine knot is a gorgeous knot. It might look a little intimidating, and it's, like I said, it's been a little bit since I did this project, so my first knot is probably going to be a little clumsy, but I will do my best. What you want to do is separate your strands so that they're you want 2 on each side. Something else I mentioned, it's in the instructions, I didn't say it out loud though, is if you're using leather cord, it's often a good idea. You know, it can be quite stretchy, and it also will stretch out after, you know, you make a piece of jewelry, and that leather cord will kind of stretch out later with wear. So pre-stretching is often a good idea when working with leather cord. So, you know, just pull on your cords, give them a little stretch. It can kind of help minimize that stretching later. I'm going to start my first knot. I've got my 4 strands of 20-inch strands of cord. I've got them separated into kind of a left pair and a right pair. The first thing I'm going to do is take this left hand pair, and I'm going to make a little loop. And I want the tail, I made a loop, and I want the tail to come underneath the main strands here. So it's looping around, and the tails are coming out underneath. And then I'm going to take the right hand pair, and I'm going to lay that right over the loop. And it's a good thing that I made these great little step out diagrams, because I'm following them very closely. I'm laying this right hand pair over the loop and kind of bending it over here. And I want that to go under the tails of that first loop. So hopefully that makes sense. So what you've got is your left hand pair that's kind of looped around, and the tails underneath. And then you've got your right hand one that's just laid over that original loop, and then the tails are tucked underneath the first pair of tails. Hope that makes sense. And then I'm going to I'm going back to the left hand pair. I'm picking up those tails, and I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to go under. So that's over and under. And then you'll find that you're over this right hand pair, and then you're going to tuck them under the outside of that very original loop. So hopefully that makes sense. And now, if I did it right, and I didn't, because look, it came right apart. Let's start again. Remember, I did say that I was going to be clumsy with the first try. So we'll make that loop on the left pair again. And then tuck the right pair, bring it around and tuck it under. And then where did I foul up? You want to take this tail and go over. And under. And over and under. Aha, this time it worked. So follow those diagrams. And then I'm going to start tightening this. But what I want to do is make sure that my cords aren't overlapped, that they're kind of all nice and straight. And then to tighten this, I want this knot to come all the way up to the clip. So I'm pulling the two pairs of tails. I'm just pulling those right down at the bottom and then pull the outside tails to bring it all in. So how many are people making along with me? If you run into snags or you're confused about anything, don't hesitate to ask. So I've got my knot all tightened up. So something to consider while you're doing this is that you do want your knot to be pretty tight, not so tight that it's, you know, a big unrecognizable lump, but you want it to be tight enough where it's not going to loosen up a lot afterwards. And that first knot, you know, the bracelet has bead embellishment here down lower, but those first knots don't have any because those are the ones that are going to be inside the crimp end. All right, so we got our first knot. And if you're following along, that's figure 4 on the downloadable project sheet. All right, so I want to string one of my accent beads onto the, I'm working on the left-hand pair and I want to string an accent bead onto the inside tail. And I'm going to bring that right up next to the knot. And then I'm going to take all 4 strands and string on one of those barrel beads. You know, I think early on I was talking about that you could possibly do this with 4mm cord, but now that I'm thinking about it, sorry, not 4, 2mm cord. Now that I'm thinking about it, those would not fit in this barrel bead. So let's just forget I said that. You do want to stick with a 1.5mm cord to make this design. So I strung on that barrel bead and I push that all the way up to that knot. And then I'm going to separate my pairs again, and I'm going to thread on one of the red beads on the inner strand of the right-hand pair. And that's my first little section of embellishment. And then I'm ready to start my next knot. Now, something that the instructions say, the way I made this bracelet is I alternated the direction of the knots. And I don't know if you can really see that, but that just means that I started with the right hand pair on one knot, and with the next knot, I started with the left hand pair. That's optional. That I like to do that because I wanted to make sure that the bracelet would lie very flat. And I didn't know how, if I started the knot with the same pair every time, if it would give it a little twist. I really didn't make one fully like that to test it. I just decided I'm going to alternate the knots so I can be sure that there's some balance to it. It's probably optional. If you want, you can just continue your knotting starting with the same side that we began with, but I'm going to follow the directions and alternate. So the next knot, whoops, let's see. The next knot, we take the right hand pair and we make a loop and bring the tail underneath. And then we lay the left hand pair over that loop and bring it up so that the tails are underneath the other tail. And then let's see, what do we do next? We're going to come back to this tail. Yes. I've lost my place in the knot. I have to figure out what I'm doing here. I think I'm bringing this right hand tail around. Ah, we're embellishing now. So before I start, let's see, hold on. Weaving through the knot. All right, let's finish the knot. This is coming around. It's going over the right hand, under the loop, over this part of the first pair, and then underneath the outside edge of the loop. Okay, we start to pull that in, but before we make it all tight, this is where we take this little round spacer bead and add the bead that will sit inside the middle of the knot. So I'm going to kind of trace I want to add that to this inside tail of the left-hand pair. So I'm just going to follow that around so I know which cord I'm stringing it on. And then I'm just going to weave that up through all the parts of the knot until this is kind of a fun part of the process. I'm just weaving it up through the knot until I can get it here in the center. And then to tighten this knot, again, I'm going to pull these the pairs apart here, just pull them away from each other. And then I can pull on the tails. And before I completely tighten it, again, I want to kind of untangle everything. Make sure everything's straight and not twisted. And then I'm tucking everything up and pulling everything tight. And everybody must be doing okay because it's pretty quiet. As I'm making my knots and adding all my little embellishments, I really want my knots to be about 1/2 inch apart. So I'm paying attention to that while I'm tightening and tucking everything together too. And this is also where you can, if you wanted a larger bracelet, you could make your knots a little bit further apart. All right, so now I'm going to start adding that second little section of embellishments. So I'm going to add, in the original design, these little seed beads are kind of zigzagged along the length of the bracelet. So now in the upper section, we put that blue bead on the inside of the left pair. I'm going to put it on the inside of the right pair this time. And then I'm gathering those together and threading on a second barrel bead. And then the red bead will go on the inside tail of the left pair. Here we go. So you can see how it comes together. The blue, red, and then blue and red, and we're ready for our next knot. So I'm going back to the original, starting with the left-hand pair again on this one. Okay, whoops, that goes underneath. And then over and under. And over and under. I'm getting a little bit off camera. All right, I'm going to start to tighten that, but again, I'm not going to completely tighten it because I want to add that little seed bead up into the knot. Or not seed bead, spacer bead. paying attention to my cords, making sure they're parallel and not twisted anywhere. So let's see, I want that little bead to sit on the inside tail of the right-hand side this time. So I have to follow that around until I know which cord I'm stringing that on. And then weave it up into its spot. There we go. Okay, getting there. So these knots might be a little bit, you know, intimidating at first, but once you get the hang of it, they're very fun. They're very, you know, slightly meditative. You really got to pay attention. And they actually, once you figured it out and can put them together, the bracelet comes along quickly because they take up a lot of space. So we're only doing a total of 6 knots for this design. And
what's the trick to remembering? Over, under, over. What's the trick to that?
Well, figure 3. Go back to figure 3. I put those little words in there.
Right.
And it will vary, of course, because if you're alternating your knots, you know, you have to keep that alternating thing in your head. But once your brain kind of grasps the shapes, then it may, you know, it becomes not too tricky. Your brain has to kind of start recognizing the shape of the chords as you're putting the knot together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going back to figure 3 and no, I mean, it does. That's the whole thing, is because then you're over, under. Yeah, you have to keep looking. Yeah, because you're left-handed.
Oh, and that's a trick is well,
not semi really, well, but sort of. But looking at figure 3, it really does help. Thank you, with the overs and the unders.
And I think this is sort of a, you know, you have to use both hands with this, so it's a pretty kind of ambidextrous friendly kind of design. Let's see, I want to add on my next little flower bead. And it's going to go onto the inside tail of the left pair.
That looks better than all the rest. So I got to be improving.
I think on Rochelle, on figure 5, that's showing the over under for the opposite,
direction. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Now I'm on the next one. So,
but I didn't put the words in that one.
No, that's okay. You've got arrows in that one.
Yeah,
that does work as well.
I feel like this knot, I just did a knot that doesn't feel like it's right. I have to track the cords and see if I did something wrong. Maybe it's okay and I'm just tripping. All right, so the next, I'm ready to add my next section of little embellishment beads. So I'm going to the inside tail of the right hand, the right pair. you know, something that's interesting when you're teaching something out loud like this is, especially with a design like this, with all these chords, is how to refer to them so they make sense.
I think you're right.
And don't get confusing. It's like each project, you have to come up with a language for it. I threaded on my next barrel bead. And my next accent bead. And 5th knot. So we're getting there. This is the last embellished knot.
I forgot the big barrel spacer, dolly bead, no matter.
You need that. That one's important.
You really need it.
And as I'm going along, I'm kind of keeping an eye on my knots, but before we finish off, I will really go back through all these knots and kind of adjust them and make sure that they're tight enough. This knot here just still doesn't seem right to me. I think I'm going to unstring and try that one again. I still have some time. Tia's segment starts in 25 minutes and we've got plenty of time to finish this up. All right, I'm doing this one again. So this one will be, that one was starting on the left, started left, started left. This one's starting right.
Yeah, because I can tell which one I did correct and which one I did wrong. I mean, I just kept going, but that's okay.
Okay, I guess it's right.
One of mine, I just pulled really tight, and so it didn't look the same. And then the
You
other
know,
one looser, and then it looked better.
that is something to consider, because depending on just how tight one is compared to another one, it can affect how it looks. Let's see, so I want
My leather straight and parallel. If I crisscross them, it looks different than if I keep them straight as well. I had to take this class because I wanted to learn how to do it right.
Okay, got that tucked up in there, I think. Is it up? That's such a good thing to bring up, Rochelle, is to make sure that that they're kind of matching the tension and the size of the knot, and make sure everything's not overlapped. That can affect how that bracelet, how all the knots end up looking.
I also think maybe taping down some of these ends, they get a little crazy if you're having trouble holding it in place. That's kind of what I was trying to.
6.
Yeah, that's why you can't tighten till the end. So tape those two down so I stop moving them.
But I don't know, you have to be able to pull them out and tuck them here and there. So is that going to work?
No, I did it over instead of under. Patiently and repeat.
That fourth,
patiently and repeat.
That fourth knot is just making me struggle. Not sure what I'm doing that's kind of confusing the situation. All right, try again. Take the right hand pair, make a loop with the tails coming under, overlap the left hand pair, bring that up and under, and then over, under, over, under. It's possible that the third time is the charm here. Got it. So if this is the first time you've worked with knots like this, be very patient with yourself. This is looking much better. I was just so confused why this knot just was not looking right. And I still haven't quite figured out what I did wrong, but I think I've got it. I've got it back on track now. Okay. All right, I'm moving on to my fourth knot. Oh, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth knot. And I did demonstrate, I did do a live demo of this design for our own channel, Rochelle, but I think what I probably did was I had a step out prepared. So
I think you skipped a spacer.
I've skipped a spacer. I think what I did with that demo was I had a step out prepared. So I did a couple of knots and then I went right to the.
Sorry, you're correct, not me.
Okay. All right. And it might feel like you're running short on cord, but this should be enough to do the project. So if you're feeling like that's happening, then what you want to do is take an opportunity to start tightening knots and getting your cords. You can get a little more length from your cords if you get all your knots tightened. Does that make sense? If I start adjusting all my cords, can reclaim some of the length that's taken up in the knots. And if you're someone who wants to make a bigger bracelet, you definitely want to start with more cord. This is written for with a total of 80 inches. So each strand is 20 inches. You could certainly start with more than that if you're going to end up with wanting a bigger bracelet. This is a pretty roomer as is. This is a pretty roomy bracelet. I think it came out at 7.5 to 8 inches, depending on how tight your knotting is. Make sure as you're adjusting your knots that your little flower bead doesn't lose its spot. You want to keep that so it's up in the center of each knot. And it's easy if you're adjusting your knots, it's easy for it to get out of its position. Also easy to get it back into its position. Just you gotta watch it. All right. So I don't know if you were watching what I was doing, but I ended up getting a little more of my cord back. So that's good because I still have this 5th knot that's embellished, and then I'll have one more knot to do. And as you get more, as the knots become easier for you, you know, once you're starting to get to know them a little bit, you don't need to work, oops, that goes under. You'll find that you don't need to make the knots quite as big. I'm getting concerned about my length of cord, but I've done this a few times and I know that this works, so. Let's see. Something to point out is, you know, I said at the beginning, tie that knot up at the top. Tie all of your cords into an overhand knot. That's just to keep them in place. That can take up a lot of your cord. So pay attention that you keep that knot right up at the top so you don't rob yourself of the working cord. Matter of fact, it's possible even that you don't tie a knot at all, that you just tape them down. And then for sure, you'd have enough cord to work with. As it is, I just moved my knot, realizing how much that I had lost up there. And I'm adjusting everything so I can get that length down to the end of the bracelet. Fussy, but it's what I need to do. Otherwise, I'm not going to have enough cord for that last knot. Does anybody have any comments? How is the process? Whoever's making along, how's the process going for you?
We're having a party over here, and
That's good.
but we are figuring out that if you pull too tight, the knot doesn't look as right.
Yeah, you do have to find that happy little balance for the knot.
But loosening the end knot from the very beginning and bringing me more room, I now have more space or better tension. So it's looking more like yours. if we loosen it up a little bit instead of. So.
It is a little trick to find just the right tension for it, because you will find as you're wearing the bracelet, if the knot is very loose when you're all done with it, you know, and you're wearing it around, if those knots start tightening up, which they will, you end up with your bracelet gets big.
Right, and also our left-hander just keeps doing them on left. instead of alternating right, left, right, left.
Sure, that's certainly an option.
But it looks fine. I don't because it's curving a little bit, but
yeah. Well, once it's on a wrist though, you won't even see that.
Yeah, because your wrist is curved.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Robin forgot to do the directions. And so looking at the directions really does help. I strongly encourage following the link that Tracy gave us that has the step-by-step with all the arrows on it. I like those arrows. The arrows help. I do concur.
Oh, here it is.
And I'm just adjusting and adjusting and adjusting my knots here.
That's what I did too. It looks better. And Tia's still working on the over-unders.
Tia sucks at this.
So there's no judgment over here.
This is why Tia does not knit.
And there's no sucking at it. You're just learning.
Exactly. And so,
yes, please.
All right. Phew, I finally got all my knots adjusted.
Oh, sure, you're trying to do a right-handed one?
So we did this one, so now I need to do a right-handed, right?
Okay. Right there to her left hand.
Right
oh, she's got it right there.
Oh, it's so fun that you guys are like all in the same room doing this.
Figure 5.
Right. And
which shows you the other way.
So that way we can help.
So this one should start. Started on this side.
Yep,
so then
so
this one should start on this side.
But it took so not before I understood really where I was
I'm going to
supposed
just
to
use
be
my
going.
fingers to hold it.
So then this comes down the middle.
Yep.
After the
So
fifth
then-
knot. Oh, we need the
Here,
fifth
right?
bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oop, but not all the way under. Over this one and under this one. Is that where I'm screwing up on the right-handed one? Over this.
So then after the fifth knot, we're doing our final seal knot for the very end?
Yeah.
It's a seal.
Or well, the same knot like where you're gonna
It's the same knot. There's just no bead embellishment.
no bead between the 4-strander and the thing. Okay.
I didn't put the fun one on.
Okay. Got my last knot done and I'm adding my last little flower bead. Well, I got my 5th knot done, I should say, not my last knot. I am concerned about the length of cord I have left.
Oh, wait, I have 6 knots.
You have 6? You're going to put yours around your ankle.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you attach each end knot, don't you? I think mine's going to be correct.
I put a bead in my first knot.
I put a bead in between my first knot.
And what knot? Did you just say a what knot?
I did say a what knot.
I heard that all the way down here at the end of the table. I need an explanation.
Can I help?
Are we what knot now?
A what knot?
All right, 5th one.
You can always help when it comes to explanations, of course, because everybody can make up their own.
That's right.
That's what makes it fun. And yes, I work with children. All right, I got this down left-handed.
So I'm getting ready to do my very last knot, the one that doesn't have any beads. So I'm just kind of going along and tucking all these up closer to each other again and making sure that all the knots look kind of nice, and adjusting the length in between the knots so I can get ready to do that last one.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Mine's really.
You put your knots closer together? Oh, yeah, you really put knots close together. Well, good thing you got a small wrist.
She said tighten. So
wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. You need another spacer bead and another knot.
I know, but I was just looking at the difference in.
Yeah, mine is an inch longer than yours. Oh, but I have the other spacer bead and the other knot. So yours is just
No, go here. Whoops.
no here. A couple millimeters difference.
It's an inch and a half.
I started off tighter and I loosened it up.
And I started off loose and I tightened it up.
There's no judgment in knot tying.
It's a very personal thing. Knot tying is a very personal thing, don't you think?
It is. I've told them.
Let's see. I'm at my last one. So I'm trying to, yes, I do one more sequence of the embellishment beads and the barrel bead before I can tie my last one. I don't think I said this out loud, but it's kind of important, which if you're making along, you've discovered that when you string on your barrel bead, you do want to make sure that your cords are straight and not overlapped, so that it'll go on straight. Does that make sense? Make sure that as your beads are coming in from this side, they're not all twisted and out of order. Last bead, you guys, last knot for me. And I think I start on the right this time. And I'm so short on cord that I'm going to have to be really careful. Something else you'll notice as you go is that you started with 20 inches of cord, but your ends will end up being uneven because the cord just gets taken up, you know. That's not right. Let's try that again.
Oh, cute. Perfect.
And you can see that on this last one, I've got everything quite tight together because I don't have that much cord to work with, but I know the pattern of the knot now. I know where the ends need to go to make the knot come together right. So hopefully you guys will be also at that place when you get to the end and you have not as much cord to work with. All right.
Some of my knots look better than others. The one in the middle looks the best.
Oops, it is just now the top of the hour. So I'm in, which means I don't want to cut into Tia's time. So I was going to ask if everybody,
take long.
What's that?
You're fine, Tracy. Mine won't take long.
Okay. I was about to ask if people were ready for me to go on to the finishing.
Yeah,
but I'm going to go right ahead with it, even if they aren't, because like I said, I don't want to take up Tia's time. So I have some super glue, which isn't opening properly, but that's the next stage. There we go. So at this end, I did my last knot. That's the one that doesn't have any embellishment in it. It's just a knot. And the next thing I want to do is take this super glue. And I've also, at this point, I've also checked my length. I've adjusted my knots and kind of tightened them up as much as I can so that I know it's not going to loosen a bunch when I start wearing it, which is what you really want to do, that to make sure everything's good before you do the final steps. So I've got my super glue, and what I want to do is just go right in between the tails and the knot on both ends, because we're going to be cutting those tails off right close to that. So I want some glue on there, and it's going to get all over my fingers too, but I'm used to that working with glue. And at this end, I'm going to take that knot out and do the same thing. Oh, and I should point out that if you can, bring those tails so that they're kind of coming out at the top rather than poking out from the side of the knot before you put that glue on. Does that make sense? That way they won't be sticking out of the crimp end. When I cut, because I'm going to cut them off right here after that glue's dried a little bit. So rather than those tails coming out this way, adjust them so that they're coming out at the end of the knot, and then that's where you'll put your glue.
Yeah.
And you'll let that dry for a minute. Ideally, you'd have several minutes to do that. And to get ready to put these crimp ends on, what I'm going to do is, they may or may not be open very wide. So if they're not, this one looks pretty good. This one looks like it's closed up a little tighter. So I'm going to take some chain nose pliers, and I'm going to just put those inside the jaw, the tips of the jaws right inside that crimp end. And I'm going to open the plier jaws, and that will spread that crimp end open a little bit. So that prepares it to tuck over this, these knots. So the super glue's on there. Pretend that I have allowed that more time to dry. And I use scissors to trim right at the end of the knot. And then I can tuck the cord end or the crimp end over the knot. And you can put glue inside there if you want, but since this is a soft material and I'm going to crimp it down, it should hold it fine. You can certainly add some glue if it would make you feel like it would be more secure. To crimp it, I'm going to use some flat nose pliers. You could also use, if you've got them, parallel pliers are awesome because they come down with equal pressure.
I have them at home. I have, because
you could also use nylon jaw pliers, but they can be kind of slippery. So I'm going to use the flat nose today. And I'm going to tuck that up in there and make sure that it's all up in there good. I'm going to take the flat nose pliers and just come at it from the end and squeeze that down on both sides of the loop. And you can see both sides, crimping it down. And I'm going to test it to make sure that it's holding well. And this one feels very good. So then I can move to the other end. I've cut off my tails, set that crimp end over the last knot. You could use also your chain nose pliers for this. I like the flat nose. And I'm going to test it and it feels good. So that's it. The body of the bracelet is all done. The last thing we need to do is just add the little toggles, the little toggle components. Now I'm using very tiny jump rings. The smallest ones that we make, they're about 2 by 3 millimeter internal dimension. You don't have to use ones that small. When I did the design, I was probably getting concerned about how long it was, and I didn't want it to be too big of a bracelet. So that's why I chose the smaller jump rings. You could use, use that information to determine what size jump rings you want to use. Could certainly use longer ones. I always use, of course, just one to attach the toggle ring. And then I'll use 2 to do the toggle bar. Some people prefer 3. I'm usually fine with 2. You do need more than one because you need the jump rings to allow mobility of that bar so you can get it through the toggle ring, which you guys all know, I'm sure. So I added a jump ring to that second crimp end, and now I'm using a second jump ring to attach the bar. And that is the Josephine knot bracelet. Yay! I did it.
Oh.
Yay, how's everyone doing?
I'm starting to get it. Yeah.
Is anybody at adding the crimp end section yet?
Yeah, we actually added our crimp here.
Oh, awesome. You guys probably beat me. Did you beat me?
No, we were gluing at the same time you were gluing. And so we were doing all at the same time.
Yay!
We
so
just
that tells
parts, so we were sharing parts. So each one of us has one crimp end.
Oh, well, that's okay.
And so now we're gonna go order some more parts from goodybeads.com so that we can then finish the other end. And it didn't read when you order the crimps. an order is one.
Oh, you guys should definitely do those in pairs. Okay, look, guys, here's something very interesting. So this is the bracelet I just did. This is the original bracelet, and you can see that it's much longer, and that's because I kept all of the knots just closer together. So that's how you can adjust the length of this design. You just pay attention to how much space is in between your knots and how tight your knots are. And then because I did this in a previous demo, and I always like to show other things to do with the technique, I made a little pair of earrings.
I think those are adorable.
I thought they were fun. They were very spontaneous, and I didn't know if it was going to work, but I really did like the way they came out.
Yeah, I like the earrings a lot.
They're very cute. I really like that crimp in. I have taken that crimp in and the other new one and I made my own tassels with it too.
Tassels are fun with the crimp ends. There's a lot you can do.
Your design is lovely. Thank you. I just had something come up and I'm going to have to leave, but I do want to remind people you don't have to be here to be part of the board because we do our meetings on Zoom. Thank you.
Bye. Nice to meet you.
We are just going to take just a couple moments so that everybody can Tracy. We're so excited to thank you and to have you here. And then get your supplies ready for Tia's class. And then in a moment, Tia will start her cowgirl earrings. But to see more of Tiara Cast designs, you can follow the link to Tiara Cast. There's all kinds of DIY projects, wonderful projects there. And they're all free for you to download on all those wonderful things. So make sure to check out more wonderful fun components. They're not all leather. There's all kinds of mix of everything. There's seed beads, there's wire work, there's all kinds of good stuff on tiaracast.com.
There's a really cool one for the rattlesnakes from this collection. I love that one you did, Tracy, where it was the lots of, there was like, I think there might be like 6 of the rattlesnake charms.
Oh, yeah. And I just linked them together like a chain. That's a fun one. And then I made little clusters of gemstones for the rattles.
Mm-hmm. Fun. And so when do you do your Tiara Cast live, your weekly live show? Don't you have
usually I do them on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. our time. So that's what, noon your time?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do them at 10 a.m. most weeks. Occasionally we have to skip a week because we're just busy with other stuff, but I usually try and do it weekly.
And those are all streaming live on the Tiara Cast Facebook page, right?
And also our YouTube channel.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. So if you can watch for those. I always post the announcements, the event announcements on both our Instagram page and our Facebook page and YouTube, because I go through StreamYard and it allows you to post to more than one place. So, I do that a few days in advance. So you'll see notifications.
Hello?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hello?
So thank you so much. We will now, so yeah, everyone follow Tracy and look for all those wonderful things. And so next we have Tia. Look at Tia. The cowgirl earrings. And so then all you've got to do is we will screen share.
Which I love that the cowgirl earrings and this go together.
I do too.
I was so excited when she said you were going to be teaching, Tracy. I was like, I know exactly what I want to teach.
Awesome.
So this one is a pretty easy design, you guys. It is inspired. Just need to move my camera. By steer heads from the new Wild West collection. I love them. And most everything I saw done with them was very boho. So I wanted to make them. I'm a little sparkly, so I wanted to make them. I call them the rhinestone cowgirl earrings. And I think that they are super fun. And I hope you guys like them as well. For me too, it's been a while since I wrote these instructions, so I will try to follow along with them for you guys as well. So you're gonna need 2 of the steer heads. You're gonna need 4 of the tiara cast double-sided rhinestone charms. You'll need 2 of the squares, 2 of the triangles, thank you, and 2 of the diamond cut quick links for this project, along with, I'm using just clear crystals. We have this crystal, this particular Chinese crystal, in a ton of colors. It's the same one I used for the tassel earrings I did. So it's a really fun one to use. So when I'm making, I always start at the bottom. So you're gonna wanna start by opening 2 jump rings, and you're gonna wanna put them on the daggers. And I leave the jump ring open and set it aside as I get each one done. I find that jump rings are my least favorite thing as I get older. I have the hardest time getting them. I shoot them across the room a lot. I'm really good at it. I don't have anyone on the other side of the room to catch them though. And we're gonna go ahead and take our square component. What is going on over here, you two?
I'm just getting her all the stuff. She's got to get stuff. Okay, there's your
flyer.
So cute.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
So open a jump.
Open the jump rings and put your fun little daggers on the jump rings, as well as go ahead and put a jump ring on either end of your charms. You do have a lot of jump rings to open.
Are we closing these or just putting them on?
Just putting them on, leaving them open. Because then you're just gonna, it makes it that much easier to add all your components. And hopefully your jump rings behave better than mine.
And I'm not sure if the oval's gonna work.
Oh, it'll be fine.
I think it'll be fine.
It works with yours, yes, ma'am. Yours are skinnier.
Wait a minute. How many extra jump rings do you have?
So you're gonna need 1 for each end of the charms.
I'm so bummed. I have some square mandrels, but they're not here in this shop because I don't have the quick links. So I was looking for square mandrels to make some square links, and I don't have them here. They're in my home studio.
That's too bad.
My square mandrel is, I have the square pliers. I have Wyatt set that stepped, that is the interchangeable ones. Oh, I love them. I use them so much.
Those are the ones, and I'm going to have to bring them in because they're at home.
I was watching Jewel School the other day, and I was just telling, I take care of my elderly mom, and I was just telling her, I was like, I so need to buy 2 more pairs so I don't have to interchange them. Because that's what Wyatt does. And I just laughed. I was like, I just had that thought. And he's like, yeah, I have 3 pair, so I don't have to interchange them. I'm like, that is cheating. So once you have all your jump rings on, this all goes super, super quick. I just saw one I missed. There we go. So I always start, once you get all your jump rings on, I always start when I'm making these with the dagger. And it's gonna go, you're gonna hold your square so it's a diamond. And you're gonna add your dagger to the bottom. Oh, I lied. You're gonna add your dagger to a charm, right? I'm lying to you. Dagger goes to the bottom of one of your charms. Sorry, guys. So then you're gonna add the dagger to the bottom of one of your charms. Your two-sided charms. And then you're gonna go ahead and add that to the bottom.
You need a crystal in between the sparkle.
Oh, in between the square and your. Yeah, I lied, that's why. It's been a while. And then you're gonna do the same thing with your steer. You're gonna have your steer on one end of one of your two-sided charms and close that. So it looks like this, guys. So you're gonna have your steer a jump ring, the bottom of your charm, and then add a jump ring to the top of the charm. And then you're gonna take that and add it to the top of your diamonds. So you have that.
Dagger is attached to the charm. The charm is attached to the big square.
Then your steer's head is attached to the bottom of the charm, and then your charm is attached to the top of your square.
Okay.
You're then gonna take try to lay this so you guys can see it. Once you get the steer on, grab my chain nose and hang on to this. Still your frame. You're going to take triangle, get it open. How's it going over there? You're gonna take your triangle, point down, and put it in the same jump ring that you have on the top of your square and close it. So it is point down and it looks like this. That works. You could use, there are a ton of different tiara casts you could use.
You could use this design like in so many different themes, you know, by just changing your charm out.
I was thinking that the really pretty open lotus one would be really fun too.
Yeah, it's really some possibility.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, you did it. She's shooting jump rings at me. For the next part, you're gonna need roughly, I always cut more wire than I need. So you're gonna need probably about 8 inches of 28 gauge wire. You have a triangle line. Aha. Cool. So your quick link is going, you want to put your quick link on to where you're even for all 3 points. And then you're going to add wire to all of those points to hold it in place. And it doesn't take much to hold it in place, because then once you have them held in place, you're going to go back and wrap a little bit more wire with your crystal. And it is a little putsy for your first one because your quick link wants to move. I always start at the top and do like 2 wraps in each one of the top corners. And then you'll trim it. You're going to want to use your flesh cutters and cut as close to it as you possibly can so you don't have any stickers. So this is your first spot where the wire is. And then you're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Once you do your 2 bottom ones, before you secure your 2 bottom ones, you can shift to make sure that everything is even. Because until you secure those other 2 points, go ahead and trim this one as well, as close as we can. The first time I did this, I tried doing the charms at each point, and it makes it much easier to just go back and lay down your points first and then go ahead and add your crystals. You want to make sure that you're leaving enough room right here because you're going to connect your ear wire to your quick link, your diamond cut quick link. So you need to make sure you have enough space between the top of your pineapple triangle and your quick link that you can get your ear wire to fit. And I apologize, I have pork chop fingers.
Pork chops is up for dinner.
I have pork chop fingers.
Where did little sparkles go?
You're going to put the little sparkles on top of your wire wraps to hide your wire wraps.
So wrap a couple times first and then go over it with the sparkles, or what?
Yes, you're going to want to wrap all your points first. It'll make it way easier for you because then your quick link won't shift.
Okay.
So I'm just laying down the wire and trimming it and then moving to each point.
Here's more darling. So how many times do you normally wrap around on each little connector area?
I do 2. And then once I've trimmed all my ends, I'm going to go back and just smooth them out and pinch them in with my chain nose so they're good and tight. You don't have anything sticking out. This little guy's sticking out a little bit.
Then the sparkle wire that's different than this one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The first time I did it, I tried doing the sparkles at each point, but it's hard because your quick link wants to slip around. So I discovered that if you put your wire down first, so then you're at this point in the front, and you want it to be the sparkly side up, the diamond cut side up. So this is where we are so far. And then you have, these are 1 to 2 millimeter rondelles. And I usually go ahead and thread them onto the wire first. As soon as you can. They have the teeniest, tiniest little holes. And then you're just gonna set your crystal on top of your wire wrap and come around, one side will come up from the bottom. Other piece of wire will go down and around. After every join.
Wire's pretty cheap, so just use what you need. It's easier to wrap when it's longer. It is.
Well, and I would rather, my crystal just came off. I would rather have more than not have enough. Yes. You don't have enough. You want to make sure that it's not going to slide around. So you're going to want to make sure that it's fairly snug. And my crystal is not cooperating. He does not want to go on here.
Nice twist. Yeah. It's a pretty crystal. I know you're not Swarovski, but you're pretty.
I keep trying to get Jackie to get them in bigger sizes because they're so sparkly and so pretty.
Well, isn't that where then you would switch to the 3 millimeter microfacet stones?
You could, yes. You could do the 2 mil or the 3 mil.
3 millimeter that you guys have.
So I don't know if you guys can see this well, but we have one little crystal right there, and all he's doing is just hiding your wraps. And now you're going to do that to the other 3 points as well. You're going to want to make sure he's good and snugly wrapped on there. So I'm going to pull my tail up so I can come back around. And then I'll go ahead and trim my wire.
Wire joints do you have? 6 or
4.
4? You did 2 on each side of the top corner, just like I did.
2? Oh, yeah, you guys went there and
I
there.
did on the side, yeah.
1,
That's
2,
okay.
3, 4. Your guys's will just be more secure and more sparkly.
Exactly. Okay. It doesn't say it only had to be 4. Well, that's a good thing.
Well, see, do one more and you'll have 6. And see, and I always say, I am a big fan of Pinterest and watching Tracy and everybody fun. I watch Sarah Ellis and I love taking what they do and making it mine. I don't necessarily want to copy them. I want to make it my own. And I didn't give myself enough wire. See? And like Tracy and I were saying, you could use whatever charms you want. There are some, Tiara Cass has some fantastic charms. And you could even add it, even with the stairs head, you could do all kinds of cool. You could add flowers and he could be like Ferdinand, the little bull that I used to watch when I was a kid that loved flowers.
I love that. That's a great idea.
We tried to use the other tier. Some of the Tiara Cass charms have the loop go in the other direction. So you just have to be careful which way you go. I love the mixing the gold and silver metals.
I am the only one that does that at Goody. Everybody else is either silver or gold. And I'm working on I'm actually a huge copper fan, and we don't have, like, Goody hasn't made a single kit that I have found that is copper. And I was like, oh no, if I'm gonna do my first kit, I want all 3 metals, gold, silver, and copper. Well, it is gonna be dependent on how many joints you did. So you want a crystal for every joint you have. Just one crystal. If you want more crystals, if you want more sparkle, go to town. Make it your own.
I gave you a bunch, so you can use as many as you want. I mean, there's how many on this strand that we got for like $2?
You have a jillion of them. I mean, if you wanted to, you could go all the way around the quick link. You could. I'm a big fan of making my own beaded components.
Part of this cowgirl.
Yeah. How rhinestone-y cowgirl do you want to be?
Well, if you saw my charms, you would understand that this is no cowgirl. It is okay.
You could even make them different if you wanted to. Kind of like beads too. Rochelle likes to make earrings that are different, like the right one's different than the left one.
I'll be lucky if I actually make 2 of these, because, you know, with all this hair I got going on, I tend to hair balances the other side.
So funny. I was telling Jackie the other day that I've lived here 20 years and this summer over 20 years. And my hair is longer than it has been in like 35 years. And I said, Jackie, I don't remember my hair. Like, I don't remember caring whether it was humid or not. But for most of the time that I've been here, my hair is super short. And I have natural curly hair. So it's been fine. But having it longer and having all this humidity, it's just one giant frizz ball.
That's why all those people who live in California have the perpetually perfect hair every day, because the weather is perfect.
Hey, we have some humidity, sometimes occasionally, very light.
Like 90%.
The The one reason I like living in San Diego is my hair looks good all the time. But you were stuck wearing the same outfits because the weather never changed.
I think I would be fine if I never had to like put boots and hats and parkas and actually warm up the car.
Take the sweater off by 10 a.m. because it was too warm. You know, it was just fashion takes a back seat. It's tank tops every day.
When I first moved here, I worked out on Lake Minnetonka, and I wore shorts year round because it was really hot in the restaurant in the wintertime because they had a fireplace. And so I wore a sweatshirt and shorts all winter long, and they made fun of me. I was very comfortable. I was very lucky because I was the only girl bartender. And so the guys used to baby me, and they would go start my car and scrape it off. I was very lucky and very spoiled. The guys were super protective of us. Like I said, they don't like to behave.
No, I'm talking nice to them. I'm adding a bunch. They do like to be friends. I put 4 on each choice.
So you guys are going to be super sparkly. No, I don't want to. I have one that refuses.
The little flower charm we chose. I think that goes good.
Steer and stuff though?
I do. It goes great. It's the Ferdinand effect with the flower
I
above
love
the
it.
steer. I love that book.
There was a cartoon when I was little and I loved him. I wanted a pet steer and I was told I couldn't have one. Oh, no, we lived in the country. We lived down a dirt road.
My friend's child had a pet steer. His name was Bead.
We had pigs and they were pork chops and smoked ribs.
Their pig was bacon.
Bacon?
Bacon and beef.
See, that's reality.
Yes.
Once we get all of our crystals, the last thing we have to do is you're just going to go ahead and add your little ear wire onto your quick link in between. And you're going to twist your little ear wire so he stays. We're gonna.
Once I get home, I'll make a second one because this one's turning out really cute.
I want to see the Flower Ferdinand one. I think it would even be fun to put your crystals on here too. You could make it different in a whole bunch of different ways.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm being killed by crystals and jump rings and everything over here.
Gosh. Apparently I didn't anchor my wire.
What's the trick to anchoring the wire, Tia?
Yeah, please.
Go around once first and then come back around with your crystal.
Yeah, that's what I did. But
It's not staying.
yeah, that's cool.
Well, I then tucked my wire underneath the first row of wire. So I kind of like did a slip knot sort of under the wire. You know how you would tuck your ends when you're macrameing?
I think what happened happened is the first my anchor wire, I was thinking I was going to be in a big storm.
Okay.
Well, you know, the wind could catch them.
I was thinking more the hair and the scarves.
This is true. And you can also go back in once you have your crystal on, like I'm trying to do with this one that does not want to stay. And you can use your chain nose works, your bent chain nose works really well. And you can just pull the wire up and snug it up and then tuck it under the crystal so you don't have any pokies. He wants to join the party. So this is the putziest part, just getting your twine. That's revenge for the seed bead project. I love how all my seed bead friends tell me that wire is too putzy. Do your seed bead friends ever tell you that, Tracy? I don't know how you can do wire work. It's so putzy. And I'm like, and you're looking at 11-0 seed beads. That's not putzy at all.
Yeah, that is funny. And I am not a wire wrapping expert. I mean, I can certainly do what I need to do to get a design put together, but I'm not very good at it. But that is funny that someone considers all the wire wrapping to be less fussy than seed beads.
I think I do wire wrapping for my instant gratification projects because they're so much faster than seed beads.
They are.
Yeah.
But it also works different muscles on your hands. So
This
when
is true.
your thumb is tired of seed beading, you can still wire wrap.
Or when your thumbs
That's
are,
a good point.
Or when your fingertips are so clean because of wire.
then you start seed
Then you
beading.
start seed beading. So I you know, it's all about balance in life. And in crafting.
That's like when I do my multimedia, I will have just tore up hands from cutting all the cans. And I'll go wire, once I get them all cut, then I can go ahead and ink, and it's much, much nicer. Well, and the best part of that is you can actually chop it up and start again.
I did on one of them. It just wasn't pretty enough.
And sometimes it's just gonna be that you're gonna have to go ahead and it's like my jump rings all came off of this one. So now I'm re-putting my jump rings on. Boogers. We're just going to do the same thing again for the second one. Put our dagger on. We're going to go ahead and put our little steer on. Off. I have done that. I'm doing a multi-strand crocheted necklace right now. And I had one necklace. I had one strand left because it had 3 different lengths. And I tied the knot and put it in the bead tip. And then I cut, and when I cut it, it came loose. And I was like, no, because there's no, okay, that one's gonna have to be re-crocheted. I was like, no.
That's a wire.
I think it's beautiful, but I have degenerative bone disease very bad, and I have arthritis in my hands so bad. And when I wire crochet, it kills me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we have all the lights over here. It's at the dark end of the table.
Put the blind person at the dark end of
Right. You're the last one to show up today.
I know. But then also not teaching me.
I just put my ear wire on.
Wow. I put my earwire on, but because you don't put this on the phone.
Why?
Because I have wires sticking out of it.
Shut down. The other trick to getting the wire snug is to have a tail, and I hold the tail between my fingers so I have it anchored, and then go ahead and pull the longer end through again.
Wow.
Extra sparkles.
Cute. I like the extra sparkles. And I love the flower with Ferdinand. It's so cute.
Well, I was sharing my rhinestone sparkles with Shelly. So we have one rhinestone in the bottom and one flower in the middle.
Cute. I
Oh,
like all the
it.
extra
You got
sparkles.
extra sparkles.
Extra sparkle. No, Ferdinand.
No, Ferdinand.
It's okay. You got
I got ohms and a leaf. Ferdinand was facing the wrong direction. No, the lotus in the head.
Yeah, because they're if we didn't have to put the jump ring on, they'd be right. But we had to. You do.
But if you did what Tracy was going to do and made your own links, you wouldn't actually need the jump ring.
Exactly.
That is also true because you could just put it in.
Mhm.
So that's why this is such a fun, versatile project. I love it.
Rochelle, will you hold up the Ferdinand one again?
I certainly.
Cute.
There you go. Is he too close? I can't see.
Cute.
Wait, yeah.
If you hold your hand behind it, it might focus on it a little better.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no, then it just shows your hands. Okay, cool. I just wanted to see.
I'm going to post a picture of it in the comments.
There you go.
You know, those technological things we've got here called phones work so well. Oh my God.
For everything except making phone calls.
Correct.
I live in a garden level apartment and I have to stand on one leg with my arm over my head to get a signal. Oh, that's weird. I can get it if I go outside. If I actually go outside, it does not like the. I didn't know those still existed.
Just want to say hi to all the people watching. Maggie's watching us from.
Hi, Maggie.
She's in Wales, and Pamela's watching. Kimberly's watching. And Bobby's watching. Pamela. Let's see. What does it say?
Okay, you can just tuck them in. It's super cute with the extra sparkle, guys. Look.
To download the instructions, you just go to umbs.org and there's links in the calendar page and you can download the instructions there.
It's so fun with the different sparkles and the flowers. So fun.
And if you still want to get more supplies, Goody Beads has all the supplies. This is a DIY kit. And because we're making cowgirls, that is your code to save on your supplies. It's Cowgirl 30. And so that's how to save on your supplies.
Goody has never been open to the public. Goody's.
They do the Twin City Bead Bazaar. Goody has a booth there.
Dakota is open to the public. You just have to have a tax ID to shop through Dakota. Ricky was out last week because him and Shanna didn't have daycare, so he was working from home. And I think everybody and their cousin came to shop. I was like, Ricky, you should stay home more. We were very busy. I got my keister kicked. I was like, he's like, is there anything I can do? I'm like, yeah, can you ring up some people from home? That'd be great.
But the Twin City Bead Bazaar is coming the last weekend in October. And Goody Beads will be there. Dakota Stones will be there. And I'll be there with the Toad Challenge display.
And the good thing about Dakota and Goody being sister companies is if you guys don't have a tax ID, Goody carries the majority of Dakota stones. So, oh, you guys, it has been super busy the last 3 weeks. We got 5 pallets of stones in. Wow. Oh, a lot of restocks. I do that quite often. It is very hard to. Well, and you have to have your want need bucket. My want bucket is very large, and I just moved a large amount from my want to my need bucket. I am a huge Goody just got a whole bunch. There's a new medal that is super cool. It was created by a man in Japan, and it has been used for computer processors up to this point. But it is like 3 times as sparkly as hematine and lighter. It's called terahertz, and I am in love with all of it. I know. We got some just to see what it was like, and everybody went bananas. So we
just as expensive as everything in the tech world is.
No, it's actually really reasonable.
When you do the round and the triangle, do you put it through the same jump ring on the bottom? Is that what I did wrong? Were you supposed to put them both together?
You don't put it no. So you don't put it in the jump ring.
Okay, so I did do it right the first time. Now I'm doing my second one and I just forgot what I did. Okay. Thank you for confirming.
Okay, so find this piece.
Diamond on the bottom and a triangle on the top. Circle is independently off.
He is
That's why
independently
you
owned.
wire it.
The second one is going faster
Then the first one, my second one, my wire is staying better. My first one, I didn't get my wraps quite tight enough.
Well, it all depends if you guys were tired and only made one and didn't stay with us. We miss you, but we understand why you left. Those of you who are still here, finishing up, thanks so much. Send us pictures, put in the comments of what you made. And
if you guys do make them, I would love it if you shared it in the Goody Beaters site. Goody Beads has a Facebook group called the Goody Beaters, and we would love to see.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super cool. When did that start?
That's been forever.
And then we just didn't know about it.
And then Ricky just started the Dakota Stoners as well. And we would love to see, we always love to see what you guys do with all of the fun gemstones you guys get from.
And so you do that through the website, or how do you send pictures to that?
It's Facebook. So
It's
you
a
just go,
Facebook.
it's a Facebook group. So you just post.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have to be accepted, or can anybody, like, once you just click, you join?
I think that is a good question. That is a Ricky question. I don't know, because I didn't have to be accepted, but I am one of the admins for it. That does make a difference. We will check that one out. But it's been super fun to see what everybody does. I'm an admin for the Goody Bead one too, and it's really fun. And if you guys have any trouble, if you do get this project and you have any troubles, feel free to reach out to the Goody Beaders Facebook group, or you can also reach me at customerservice@goodybeads.com, and I would be happy to answer any questions. Joint 4. You guys put one on both sides of.
Yeah, I moved mine now to be just the top, just like we did.
Oh, you just did the top, you didn't do the bottom at all?
I just did the bottom and the top and the sides.
Because you guys did the sides, I didn't do the sides. See, I did here and here and here and here.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out. It's so much easier when you don't have to do all of them.
I was going to say, that's the one thing. If you don't like wire wrapping, you don't want to add the extra sparkles.
Oh no, I want to add the sparkles.
Just only 4.
But only 4 instead of 6.
Oh, I have to add 6 sparkles because I added 6 sparkles to the last.
Oh, right. You
But
got
that
to make
doesn't-
the same.
But that doesn't mean I have to actually join it. Or add sparkles.
I wrapped it twice, and then I added sparkles the third time I came around. So
I did.
my joints? Yeah, I did.
She did, but she only did one sparkle per joint.
You have multiple
I know
sparkles.
multiple sparkles, but so then give it.
Give it.
Let me see. Yeah, I see that.
Yes, don't look at my
I'm-
pokies. I haven't trimmed them yet.
Oh my goodness, I wrapped so many more sparkles.
That's okay though. Sparkle your little life away.
But I made myself work so much harder than I needed to.
Okay.
That's the story of my life. I always do it the hard
Well,
way.
I wrapped them and then I went back and wrapped them with sparkles.
That's what I did.
And I did it the other
You
way.
did it all at once.
I did it twice around first, and then I came around the third and fourth with
With
sparkles.
sparkles. Well, that makes so much sense. So I wrapped it 12 times.
You're waiting for the hurricane to come through.
It's gonna come right at my ears. So this second one, I'm not doing that. And my
So
finger,
however you guys are doing them out there in virtual land, it's acceptable.
They will be beautiful.
It doesn't matter.
don't
It's going to
copy
be
me.
great.
Don't copy me. Just
Don't do it like I did.
as Tim Holt says, you do you.
Yes.
There you go. I like it.
Makes so much more sense. I think the line is working so much.
Because you're you.
I know, because I would have to pick the hardest.
Always. I do everything the hard way.
Two more and I'll be done with my whole thing. So look at that. Tea is finished. Oh my gosh, it is so glorious. I love your cowgirl rhinestone.
I think they're so fun. I think they go great with a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, but I think they would sass up a little black dress too.
I think so too. And so if you guys are just having a ball out there, just like we are, thanks so much for joining us. We are now finished with our design and we are out of time. And so we will just do this and say thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We are so excited and look for us next month in the middle of the month for another Let's Bead Live Saturday and the UMBS Bobby Bead, Goody Beads, and Tiara Cast. Thank you so much for everything.
Bye, Tracy. It was really nice meeting you.
Thanks for having me, you guys. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yay, we had a blast. And so I'm beating everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we gotta hit stop.